Aburu, Aboya Boshishe, Eku Oshe, Oya Shango, may the winds of change always blow in our favor. And may we never mishandle our blessing. So, we can see where sometimes the orisha have mishandled their blessing. It's a common misconception that, I won't say it's common misconception, but some traditions believe that it was Orunmila who tricked Shango out of divination. And so in Ogbe Barada, Ogbe on the left and Obara on the right, it shows us that Shango misused his ashe. It shows us that Shango misused his ashe, and because he misused his ashe, Orunmila went to Ifa and asked Ifa if Orunmila could take Arira Gaga, which is the otans that Shango used, that Orunmila would be able to relieve Shango of his spouse, his blessing. So, on this Oshe, Oya Oshe Shango Day, may we never mishandle our blessing. May we never lose our blessing or misuse our ashe. That being said is that over time, right, things have happened to our ancestors. Things have happened to our ancestors in a particular way, right, to cause us challenge. What does Ifa say about these things? This is what we're going to discuss this afternoon. On the 19th, we'll be launching Olori's Corner and Dream Divination, where you will be able to have these soulful conversations. We will be, on the 1st of July, we will be offering Ebo for Otura, Oriko, Otura on the right and Ogbe on the left for the yearly Odu Ifa cast in Ile Ife. So, each house, each region is expected to participate in this Ebo in a particular way. They're asked to do it for their community. So it has been done in Ile Ife, but we asked to do it in a way where we can do it for those in our locality. So, we're offering, in essence, Ebo twice for this to ensure that we receive these blessings. So, for Ile Edingbe and Ile Edu specifically. So, I'm Latona Ifabileke. I am Oluwo, Awola of Ile Edingbe. I am Ojubona of Ile Edu in Oshogbo. Awola. So the chief priest, my initiations include Ifa, Egbe, Egungun, Obatala, and Oshun. So the thing that we want to discuss today is past life. What does Ifa say about past life and how we should treat our past life? Ifa tells us in various Odu Ifa what it is and how we should handle it. And the example that we use is with Orunmila. So a lot of times we will see the different things in the Odu Ifa and the stories and stuff about Orunmila. Aburu aboyaboshi she ifadayo ifabileke. What does Ifa say about past lives? Does Ifa even acknowledge past lives? How will those past lives affect the current life that we in? These are some of the different things that Ifa talk about. In Otura Meji, right? That's Otura on the right and Otura on the left. It is Eji Ogbe, Oyoku Meji, Iwori Meji, Odi Meji, Irosu Meji, Owarren Meji, Ogunda Meji. I'm sorry, Obara Meji, Okanra Meji, Ogunda Meji, Osa Meji, Otura Ika Meji, Otura Pon Meji, Otura Meji. So I think it's number 13 in the Odu 13, 14, 15, 16. Mm-hmm. It's number 13 in the Odu Ifa. This Odu Ifa speaks about Orunmila, right, and past lives, and coming back and forth from heaven to earth. And some of the things that we do, and some of our expectations on returning. Ifa talk about it. Ifa says in Otura Meji, a versatile Babalao is he who wakes up and a prince on the Opon Ifa tray. A veteran Onishegun priest or herbalist is he who wakes up and presses Shigidi, molded images with medicine, in his chest. A great orisha worshiper is he who wakes up and adorns himself with white dress. Olumo Keribiti, the resident owl of Agbeneregun. He was the one who cast Ifa for Orunmila. When coming from heaven to earth, he was advised to offer a bow, he complied. Olomu Keribiti, the resident owl of Agbeneregun. Oloma Keribiti, the resident owl of Agbeneregun. So it shows us these different stages and transitions with Orunmila. It shows us these different stages and transitions that we go through as well. Agbogbogbo Maritimo. So this Odu Ifa tells us about the different transitions or the different phases that Orunmila experienced throughout his journey from heaven to earth. It shows us in various Odu Ifa that Orunmila came back, went between heaven and earth repeatedly at different times throughout creation. Right? So Otura Meji talks about how Orunmila came to Aye from Orun, and how the things that Orunmila recorded as part of his destiny. We can see it, right, again in other Odus, right? Ogbe Alara, Ogbe Kanran, Eji Ogbe, any of the Odu Ifa, we can see some of the things that happen with Orunmila. We can see Orunmila's progression, like he was always a Babalao. He always cast Ifa for someone. He always transformed energy. These things Orunmila did. These things he did with frequency. These things he did at the assistance of Olodumare. Orunmila consistently offered a bow, Orunmila consistently cast Ifa. Orunmila consistently helped the people. So it tells us, we can see the progression, right? We can see the different stages of Orunmila. We can see who cast Ifa for Orunmila. Orunmila was here at the first creation. And Orunmila was here in the next creation. This shows that we go back and forth, that when we come to Aye, the mission is different. We can see that when we come to Aye, there's certain things that we must do, right? Certain energies that we are in, certain things that we have to accomplish for ourselves and for our ancestors, for the universe. It shows us that Orunmila was a versatile Babalawo who wakes up in the Prince Ifa on the Opon tree. It shows us that Orunmila became a veteran herbalist with medicines. We can see that Orunmila perpetuated the orisha by his dress. We can see that. We can see that the same energy, Alumo Keribete, cast Ifa for Orunmila at different stages whenever he was coming from heaven to earth, whenever he was coming on a mission. It shows us as well that Orunmila had things that he needed to accomplish. It shows us all these things in Otura Meji. And Ogbe Alara, Ogbe on the right, and Otura on the left, it tells us, it narrates the story of the vulture and how all the animals or all the birds in the bird kingdom needed to get their abode to heaven. They were going through challenges. They were having issues with progressing. There was these different situations that the birds were experiencing. So they got together. They selected the vulture as the one who would carry the Ebo from earth to heaven. After some reluctance, the vulture agreed. The vulture wasn't the prettiest, but it wasn't the smallest. It was able to endure challenges. The vulture was strong enough. The vulture had a good character. The vulture was trusted. All these things is what allowed the vulture to be the one selected. It's not easy to make sacrifice. It's not easy to follow through with the sacrifice. It's not easy to be hungry. It's not easy to be thirsty. It's not easy to be lonely. Sometimes it's difficult based on condition to take the commitment seriously. The Ebo was prepared. The vulture bid farewell. And off to Orun the vulture went, carrying the Ebo. They expected the blessing to manifest in a short time based on the Ebo that was made, and getting the Ebo to Orun, getting the Ebo to Eledumare, to the Orunmila, verifying that the Ebo was made. They thought that it would take 3 days. When it took 3 months, the vulture kept flying. The birds in the bird kingdom were expectant on their blessing. They had offered Ebo. They followed the rules. They sent the Ebo to heaven. after 3 weeks, they had not seen the manifestation of their blessing. They hadn't seen the outcome of a bow. The vulture kept flying. The vulture kept flying for 3 years, give or take. When the vulture finally reached Orun, the Olodumare sees the vulture. He sees the condition that the vulture's in. The vulture relays the story of what had happened in the bird kingdom. It gave the message. It gave the sacrifice, conveyed to Olodumare what were the prayers of the bird kingdom. Olodumare took pity on the vulture, understand that it had took 3 years for the vulture to reach Orun. Olodumare opened the back door to Orun and allowed the vulture to return to Aye almost instantly. So what do we take from this story? What happens with the vulture when the vulture returns to Aye? When the vulture returns to Aye, the vulture got to hear all the things, the negative things that the birds in the bird kingdom had said. The vulture found out how his family had been treated because they thought that the vulture had not kept his word in delivering the Ebo to heaven, to Orun. The vulture heard all these things, seeing how he would have been picked at, said that he didn't have good character, his family had been molested, his character was being assassinated, all these things the vulture had to do. But Eshu, realizing that the vulture had accomplished his mission, that Olodumare had assisted him and allowed him to return, the vulture became the only bird in Ifa that will not be used as a bow. This is in Ogbealara. The vulture will not be used as a bow. So in Ifa, that is the only bird that is taboo to kill. It's the only bird that is taboo to kill. We can feed these other birds, pigeon, chicken, rooster, guinea fowl. You can feed these other birds to your shrines except vulture. Based on the character that the vulture had when going to Orun, when it returned from Orun on another mission, another lifetime, if you will, another opportunity, the vulture was protected, elevated, if you will. The vulture was elevated above all the other birds in the bird kingdom. So it shows us, right, that one is that if we emulate the vulture and what the vulture's role was, if we emulate that, understand how that applies to our life. The vulture's life was sacrifice. A part of the sacrifice was the thing that the vulture must do, right? The sacrifices that the vulture must make. The sacrifice of being hungry. The sacrifice of sticking to the plan. The sacrifice of having good character and integrity. That even though the vulture was hungry, the vulture didn't stop and eat the ebo. The vulture remembered all those birds in the bird kingdom that were relying on the vulture in order to reach Orun, in order to help the ebo to be accepted and the blessings to be manifested. This was the task of the vulture. The vulture kept its promise. and stayed on task. So this is what we must do with this life. We must stick to the plan. We must stay on task. We must endure sometimes being alone. We must endure the things that we eat. We must endure sticking to the plan. We must endure with integrity, with honesty, with truthfulness. We must endure. It doesn't mean that we go through those things for nothing. What it means is that there is a reward or elevation, right? So we've done it before. We've been here before. Just as in Otura Meji, Orunmila has been here before. We're asked to emulate that energy. We can see there's in the different Odu Ifa and Ogbe Kanran, Ogbe on the right and Okanran on the left. We can see it in Oyeku Meji where it tells us, Ifa tells us about certain aspects of us that existed before. It tells us in Oyeku Meji, I am the twilight, you are the twilight. Ifa cast for Iku Sanu when coming from heaven to earth. We can see it in Ogbe Kanran. One leg of Ogbe, one leg of a Kanran. Ifa cast for Agogo when coming from heaven to earth. His advisor offer above longevity. We can see it again in another verse from Oyeku Meji. I am the twilight, you are the twilight. Ifa cast for the bell, Agogo Sekete, with him and the stick were after each other in animosity. He was advised to offer a bow. He complied. We can see it on and on and on. We can see these things in the Odu Ifa, but sometimes we don't necessarily understand what it means. Yeah, with Agogo, we have these things we must do. The bell must be beat by the stick in order for it to resonate. That's the purpose of the bell. So it's challenges. It is through the challenges that the bell will reach its full potential, making sound. You must hit the bell with the stick to make the sound, the challenge. Again, with Ikusanu, death has favor. Coming from heaven to earth, we cast Ifa offer a bow like Orunmila did in Otura Meji in order to have success on this trip. We know that the Ifa reading talks about past, present, and future. It's not always clear of what aspect of the past that this Odu Ifa be talking about. It says the past. Where in the past? Was it this life? Was it the next life? Was it the past life? Was it 2 lives before that? What is the reason behind knowing about the past? 1, so we can rectify. 2, we can acknowledge the thing that has happened. 3 is that those things will no longer bring us challenge. So there's 2 aspects of the past that we have to look at and we have to be aware of. There's 2 aspects. The aspect is the physical life that we've had. How many physical lives have we had? If we look at the creation story, in Osagun Ledger, or we talk about Osa on the right and Ogun on the left, if we look there, we can see that it's all about the grouping. Applying that with Egbe, right? So Egbe deals with us. There's Egbe Ara, which is the Egbe in the physical. That's each one of us here on IEA. And there's Egbe Orun, which is the spiritual aspects of us. The us that we see when we go to sleep. So we know that we exist in 2 places at the same time, at least. In the physical world and in the spiritual world. So let's apply that again. So even the one in the spiritual world has another, and another, and another. So there's these groupings of ourselves that exist over space and time that we tap into this energy, Akashic records. It tells us again in Otura Meji. It tells us that Orunmila recorded his blessing. And he did so with Ajala, the custodian of destiny. Orunmila recanted his blessings, right? He said them over and over and over again so that the divinities would acknowledge it and help him to realize it. Orunmila said it over and over again. It is the blessing of wealth. It is the blessing of spouse. It is the blessing of children. It is the blessing of homes. It is the blessing of irrevocable. It tells us in Otura Meji. So the thing is, what is the need to record, right? What is the need to keep score? How do we keep score? Orunmila stated that because he was here during the first creation and the success that he had during this period, that on his return to Aye, there were certain things that he required, right? Because this is what he was given. This what was his prize. Blessing. Blessing. From one life to the next, we record these things. Ifa relays the story to us when it's talking about Orunmila. Ifa relays the story to us when it's talking about Ikusani. Ifa relays the message when it in Ejiogbe. Ifa relays this message in all the Odu Ifa. It's the things that we have been guaranteed based on, one, our destiny. Two, the things that we accomplished before. So when we cast Ifa, we offer a bow and we get information, right, that taps into those records kept by Ajala, those Akashic records. Those records from past lives, of our successes and failures, of our character. So that when we come back, our positions now, the things that we have to overcome, the character tests that we must accomplish, the things that we accomplished in past lives, right? When we deal with them in this life, we don't have to deal with them again. This is how we reach perfection. The only thing that has been obtainable by Olodumare, the only thing that has been obtainable by Akamara, we strive for creation and balance. Or balanced creation, where things work in harmony. So, we can see that, again, we can see that Ifa and Orunmila experienced these past lives. We can see it in the cycles of the moon. We can see it in our birth charts. We can see it in many different areas. But how's it expressed? How is it expressed, and how is it that we can have the right energy at the right time with the right information in order to move past these cycles that trap us? Let's do the Ifa reading. Through Ifa, we can tap into those things. We can know what the mission is, like the vulture. We can not only have the information, but we can put forth energy to bring about change in our situation in the world around us. Sometimes when you receive the Ifa reading, it's not about you. The past may not be about you. It could be about a family member that directly affects you, that you have in the present. With Dafa and a bow, you can rectify those issues with that person, so that that person will bless you or bless or enrich your life. There's been times when we cast Ifa for someone, and it's not the family, them who have the challenge, it's the family member that have the challenge. So whether they offer a bow or not is telling about the outcome. If they don't offer a bow, then the family member continues to have the challenge. If they offer their bow, then the family member overcomes the challenge and they both move into blessing. Sometimes if one receives a taboo, it is not for them, but for a family member. It is that we shall surely all be blessed from making that bow. Offering the sacrifice is followed by the Ifa reading. Now, does it require a certain amount of integrity? Yes. Being patient, having perseverance, being truthful and honest with oneself and the world around them. This is how we move forward. This is the thing that allows us to have progress. This is what brings us victory over adversary. So remember, the vulture was tested by the trip. It is the conditions that the vulture found itself in that was the challenge. It is the bell that is beat by the stick that helps the bell to fulfill its purpose. It tells us about the challenge. It tells us about the obstacle. It tells us also about the blessing, the thing that we're supposed to focus on. Ifa tells us in a very literal way, those who work will be paid. Based on the type of work you do, is what type of pay you'll receive. If you hold true to the agreement with your destiny, you should be blessed with all area in life. If you don't, then the outcome is obstacle. So I talked earlier about the different types of memory that we have, right? So some of that memory is in our DNA. Some of those things that bring us nostalgia. Some of those things that bring us these deja vu. Some of these things that bring us joy. Some of these things are from past lives. Some of these things are memories from our ancestors that affect us or that we realize through DNA. Which ones speak to you? They all do. We all have Egungun. We all have Egbe. We all have Obatala. We all have Oshun. We all have Ogun. We all have Shango. It is the Ori that we bring with us from heaven to earth that dictates what level or when these energies are activated inside of us. Throughout the course of this life, we strive for Ire Pupo. We strive for plenty blessing. We strive for peace. We strive for prosperity. We look for Owo. We pray for long life. It is through our Ori and the Orisha that we utilize. How can you pick just one? How can you say that on one orisha over another. Why would someone make you pick one thing, one aspect of you to focus on? It is through our destiny that we can utilize and actualize them all. The car does not work without gas. The gas has to flow from the gas tank to the engine in measure. Ori has to start the car. Obatala must hold the body in place to move the car from one gear to another. We must be able to clearly see the place that we're going. We must pick the clothing that we wear. The water that we drink, it has to flow to us. These things, we have to understand that we don't have one orisha, that we have them all. And that through Ifa, we can have those orisha manifest in our lives in different ways by being in tune with these energies. Ogboato, Asuri, Iwori Wofun, Ogbewale. What orisha would you pick? What is it that our destiny say about it? How do we become the orisha worshiper? How do we utilize Ogun? We utilize Ogun when we eat food. We utilize Ogun when we drive our car. We utilize Ogun when we turn on the TV. We utilize Shango. We utilize Oshun. We utilize Oya even just by speech. The speed and tone by which we speak is Oya energy. We have to be aware on how we utilize the orisha. It is Ori that controls it. It is Ori that controls the flow of the river to some point. It is Ori that controls the movement of the car. It is Ori that controls the stove. It is Ori that controls the water in the sink, in the toilet, in the tub. It is Ori that controls these things. Anybody ever wonder how you can put a child on a bike and the child automatically starts to pedal? The thing that we help the child with is balance. We all learn balance in different ways, right? At different times. Orunmila came back and forth from heaven to earth to accomplish certain missions throughout time. Whether it was first creation, whether it was second creation, whether it was Oshun taking the water from the world, whatever it was, or in Ogbe Fulahun, Ogbe Funfun, when Orunmila, Obatala, Ogun, and Eshu came and they created the boundary. And we're supposed to put ourselves in Orunmila's position. Right? We're supposed to emulate this energy, this person. That we came from heaven to earth as well, with different missions. Accomplishing those missions with success, like the vulture. Not worrying about the challenge like the Agogo Sekete. This is what we must do. Ifa speaks about the past life. The things that we do, have done in the past life, the things that we do now are the things that will help elevate us in this life and the next. Again, Otura Meji. A versatile Babalaos, he wakes up in the Prince Opon Ifa, Prince on the Opon Ifa. The veteran Onishegun, herbalist, is who wakes up and presses Shigadi, the molded image with medicines in his chest. The great orisha worshipper is he who wakes up and adorns himself with white dress. Different stages. Different things that Orunmila had to learn. Different positions. These are the things that were accomplished by Orunmila in past lives, right? For him to relay this to the custodian of destiny, Ajala Mumping, so that it put Orunmila in a particular position. It put him in an elevated position. It put him in a position to demand his blessing. Shade Goddess 1221. What does it mean if those things start messing up or something becomes wrong with it? I don't know what you mean specifically. Let's stick to the mission. First, let's find out what the mission is. There's a part of you that knows what the mission is. There's a part of you that needs to know what the mission is so that we can be in alignment with it. This is the way to blessing. So I think that may be what you mean, right? Sometimes we have to change us. Orunmila had to learn these tasks. The vulture had to accomplish its mission, carrying them both from earth to heaven. There's challenges. The vulture faced them. Orunmila faced them. The bell faced them. Shango faced them. The Odu Ifa tells us to focus on the blessing. Focus on the reward, because the reward is guaranteed by perseverance. Sometimes it takes us time to learn the thing. When we cast Ifa and offer a bow in this life, we're casting Ifa in this life and offering a bow for things that may have happened in the past life. We need to receive certain information at this time that was not available to us before. When before? We rely on Ifa to do this. You know, it's what I tell my Christian friends. First there was the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Who used the Word? We use the Word. So if the Word was with God and we used the Word, then we was with God too. We was with God as well. We was with God in the beginning, in the dawn of time. That is a number that we can't even imagine, but we was there. We've been here since then to work through these challenges, to work through these difficulties, to build character, to become perfect. How many grades do we have before we graduate? High school. There's also continued education. Where and how are we continuing our education here in this life? Let us understand that the true nature of Ifa helps us to accomplish all those things. So again, my wife will be launching Alori's Corner and Dream Divination on the 19th. Check her out. There'll be more from that. There'll be soulful conversations. There'll be Okose. There'll be a lot more dream divination, helping people interpret their dreams, understanding those messages, helping people to progress. We'll be offering a bow for the World Odu cast in Ile Ife on June 1st. We'll be doing that on July 1st. You can check us out at Iadudu World Academy on Patreon to participate in that. Oh, I love you too. How you doing, Baba? Marquel. There's a lot more, man. Our Gang, Edu Temple 1 and 2. That's Ilia Dingbe, Ilia Du. Again, I'm Oluwo Ifa Bileke. Oluwo of Ilia Dingbe. I'm Ojubona of Ilia Edu in the Shugbo. Come check us out. Let's get our past life together. Let's rectify some of those issues that we continue to go through. Let's understand more about ourselves and reaching perfection. That's the goal, right? Accomplishing the mission. Ashe. Let those advised to offer a bow do so accordingly. May we all receive our reward. Obo Ato, Asuri Iwori Wofon, Ifa Shegun. Let us move forward. Let us move from the Orisha worshiper to the herbalist. Let us move from the herbalist to the Babalawo. Let us imprint Ifa. Let us learn our medicines. Let us be the worshipers of ourselves and our destiny. Ashe. Aburu, Aboye, Aboshishe. Let's see. We'll see. So I can never get off of TikTok.